On September 16th, during the 2005 United Nations World Summit meeting, the 151 states that attended the UN General Assembly, which took place at the UN headquarters in New York, adopted a resolution endorsing the 2005 World Summit outcome document. But wait, why were only 151 states present when there are 193 UN member states? The reason why is that UN member states can choose whether or not to attend UN General Assembly sessions. This video discusses UN General Assembly's failure to protect populations by focusing on Articles 138 and 139 of the document. It is understood from these articles that 151 states agreed to be responsible for protecting their populations from crimes against humanity, war crimes, ethnic cleansing, and genocide, as well as to help other states protect theirs. In this video, I refer to these crimes by using the expression the four types of crimes. Before getting into Articles 138 and 139 of the resolution in further detail, let's first quickly explain what a resolution taken by the UN General Assembly represents, why it holds almost no weight, and how this one was particularly popular amongst the 151 states of interest. Okay, first, what is a UN General Assembly resolution? A UN General Assembly resolution reflects the will of the majority of UN state members. Secondly, why is this particular UN General Assembly resolution weightless? The 2005 World Summit Outcome Resolution does not correspond to the types of UN General Assembly resolutions that are binding for UN member states. As a result, states are not legally obliged to act by this symbolic resolution. Thirdly, how popular was this resolution amongst the states which expressed their will? The 151 UN member states in question unanimously agreed to adopt the 2005 World Summit Outcome document as a resolution. This means that the 151 states agreed on every paragraph of the draft resolution. Note that the draft resolution got edited and reissued for technical reasons before being adopted. A draft resolution getting reissued for technical reasons may happen when a technical mistake is found in the final version of an adopted resolution. This means that the resolution was possibly adopted before being edited and adopted again after that. That being said, the meaning of Articles 138 and 139 did not change from the draft version to the final version of the resolution document. Before analyzing Articles 138 and 139, let's clarify which states they refer to. In the draft and final versions of the document, when the singular form of the word state is used, without any other specification, the referred state can actually be any state, meaning not only UN member states. Similarly, when the plural form of the word state is used, without any other specification, the referred states are actually all states, meaning not only UN member states. The document referring to UN member states, as well as states that are not UN members, is clear for three reasons. Firstly, the UN recognizes the potentiality of states not being UN members, for instance in Article 50 of the UN Charter. Secondly, the draft version and the final version of the 2005 World Summit Outcome document do not affirm that they only concern UN member states. The third reason is that the term member states is not found in Articles 138 and 139, but it is still found in other passages of the draft and the final document. This demonstrates that when the document specifically refers to UN member states, it uses the term member states. Otherwise, it uses the term states. Okay, so what is a state? The Montevideo Convention on the Rights and Duties of States, a treaty recognized by the UN, asserts there are four conditions for a state to be recognized. These are a permanent population, a defined territory, a government, and the capacity to enter into relations with other states. The Gaza Strip, for example, filled all those criteria by October 7, 2023. Therefore, it was a state, and was. Now that we understand the main idea behind Articles 138 and 139 of the resolution, why the resolution was popular but holds no weight, and that it refers to UN members as well as non-UN member states, let's analyze both these articles. Taking into account Article 138 of the document, the 151 states agreed that each state has the responsibility to protect its populations from the four types of crimes, by, for example, preventing their occurrence through appropriate means. The 151 states also agreed that each state should, as appropriate, help states to exercise this responsibility. Now, in Article 138, the word states is not preceded by words such as the, all, or some. However, the French version of the document specifies les États, meaning the states. Therefore, the 151 states also agreed that each state should, as appropriate, help all states to exercise this responsibility. Since the Zionist state was one of the 151 countries that agreed to the document, Tel Aviv is not respecting its engagement to protect the population of the Gaza Strip. However, Gaza is not the only place where people are facing one of the four crimes. Besides Gaza, people in Myanmar, Sudan, and Xinjiang are victims of crimes against humanity. People in Sudan are victims of war crimes, and people in Myanmar and Xinjiang are victims of genocide. Therefore, are all the 151 countries respecting their engagement to, as appropriate, help all states to exercise the responsibility to protect their populations from the four types of crimes? If the answer was no, well, obviously, the reason why would be the non-binding nature of the resolution. But there is also something else. Indeed, taking Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu leaked 2001 audio as a study case, let's see that the limited precision of the document allows him to present himself as respecting this agreement.
הסכמי אוסלו שהכנסת חתמה עליהם, שאלו אותי לפני הבחירות, אתם תנאי כפוף להדדיות וצמצום הנסיבות. אבל איך אתה מצמצם את הנסיבות? אני אתן פירוש להסכם שיאפשר לי להפסיק את הדהירה הזאת לקווי 67. איך עשינו את זה? אף אחד לא אמר מה זה אתרים צבאיים מוגדרים. אתרים צבאיים מוגדרים, אני אמרתי, אלה אזורי ביטחון. בקעת הירדן, מבחינתי זה אתר צבאי מוגדר.
As you can see, Netanyahu can take advantage of an agreement's lack of precision. For example, Israel could argue that it agreed to Article 138, and therefore that it should, as appropriate, help all states to exercise the responsibility to protect its populations from the four types of crimes. However, the article didn't specify what the term as appropriate means. Therefore, Netanyahu's evil government could in bad faith argue that they did in fact agree to the document, but that it was not appropriate to help Gaza's government to protect its population from the four crimes. Furthermore, there is one last interesting point of Article 139 of the document. Article 139 implies that the 151 states agreed to intend to commit themselves, as necessary and appropriate, to assist all countries where tensions exist before a crisis or conflict breaks out. Now, obviously, from the UN's perspective, and therefore from a solely secular perspective, there is no way to know if such events will break out. Therefore, I interpret this part of Article 139 as implying that the 151 states agreed to intend to commit themselves, as necessary and appropriate, to assist all countries where tensions exist and all countries where a crisis or conflict is extremely likely to break out. So now, let's trace the contrast between this point of Article 139 and worldwide crime expectations. This map, made by the Early Warning Project, shows the percentage-wise estimated risk of new mass killings between 2023 and 2024. The data was estimated by comparing the recent state of countries and the state of countries that experienced mass killings in the past, in the year or two before those mass killings started. The Early Warning Project's definition of mass killing is the deliberate actions of specific armed groups resulting in the deaths of at least 1,000 non-combatant civilians in a country over 1 year or less. The civilians must also have been targeted for being part of a specific group. This definition apparently corresponds to the United Nations' adopted definition of crimes against humanity, one of the four crimes referred to in Articles 138 and 139 of the draft, and the final versions of the 2005 World Summit Outcome document. More precisely, the Early Warning Project's definition of mass killing corresponds to the definition of crime against humanity proposed by Article 7 of the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. Indeed, according to the ICC, a type of crime against humanity can be murder that is committed as part of a widespread attack directed against a civilian population, with knowledge of the attack. What are the 151 countries in question doing to assist the countries highlighted on the Early Warning Project's map? In conclusion, the imprecise and non-binding nature of the 2005 World Summit Outcome Resolution, and therefore the 151 countries' agreement on the responsibility to protect their populations and help protect all other populations, has arguably failed to prevent the four crimes from happening. Now arises a question: why does the UN General Assembly make resolutions? Good question.